Okay, then it's Meet the Makers day 2. And as yesterday, we have 8 documentaries from all over the world, different countries. And let's start by going to Sweden. Hello, Sara, are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You are in Stockholm, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us about this art heist, this big coup of stolen paintings that you have been working on, and we have been able to listen to the first episode.
Yes, well, this is a series about one of the world's biggest and most bizarre art heists in modern times. Throughout the episodes, you follow the traces of these 8 stolen masterpieces and the people that collides with the art. So it's a journey through the lowest and the highest layers of society, and you also step inside the more shady middle land, the gray zone, which is a landscape packed with crooks, imposters, and art detectives.
Yesterday, we talked about the small dilemma of making stories about criminals and also kind of making them entertaining and charming. And you have met the guy who is the origin of the Stockholm syndrome, right? He's kind of I must say he's a wonderful character when you know Swedish language, as I'm a Norwegian, so I can understand him. But how was it to meet this man who is charming but also very violent in his history?
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, this was the thing we talked and discussed very much before and along the process. And at the same time, I think that if we chose to do a story about this art heist, obviously we wanted to talk to the people who were closest to the case. And Clark is the last known person who actually held this missing piece of brack in his hand. So he has a rare insight in the heist and what happened to that painting. And also, I'm sure I share this with all of you, but it's not so interesting to only portray people who do good, who has this rock solid moral, who hasn't doubts or darkness. So one ambition was to portray him a bit bigger than only his title. He is, to be honest, a good storyteller, but I suppose you hopefully can feel the darkness underneath.
Did it appear that Ylva has joined the meeting now? I just saw some notification. There you are, Ylva. Can you hear us? Do you hear us, Ylva? Well, I can't hear you. Okay, I'm sorry, Sara. Let's finish with you, Sara, and we can see if Ylva joins and takes over the Meet the Makers. But tell us a bit on the circumstances you work under. How much time did you have, and what kind of resources did you put into each episode?
Well, the process was quite long, one of the longest I've been involved with. It took about 9 months, I suppose. But that was way too much more time than we planned in the beginning. But it was a tricky case, and some of the key players we couldn't get in touch with for like 2 months before deadline. So that was a strange and interesting process. But I think it's something about the mystery that kind of immediately draw me into this story. 8 pieces got stolen and only 7 got back. What happened to the last one? Where did that go? Who has seen the lost Braque painting? And also there's something about an art heist. It's not like a normal theft. It's something deeper or more emotional than stealing a car, it seems like, or even rob money from the bank. It's something deeper, because the work of an artist is something unique. You can't really replace that somehow. So I noticed quite early that this was an open wound. And another thing that was really appealing to me was the dynamics between cleverness and clumsiness, the dreams, the failure, the grief, the guilt, but also the humor of it. So that was something I thought of along the process a lot. To not just tell a story about, or retell a story about a crime. I wanted to tell the story about the people, the relationships, and the broken relationships, and the lack of sleep, and that grief. And make you all care for a little lost painting with 3 lemons.
Yeah, thank you. And this was published behind a paywall at Spotify, right? Just short, did that affect you? Was it a pity that you didn't get a broader audience, or did you even get a very big audience in Sweden behind the paywall?
I haven't heard the latest numbers, but I suppose one thing that I'm quite proud of is that it's the listeners tend to listen from episode 1 to the last episode. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay.
Well, it was a bit special in the way it was structured, of course. They wanted this, kind of collage in the beginning and what happened in the next episode, and had a few well, like any other great like the ones who order the program, who is in charge.
It's the commercial world. Okay. Yeah. But congratulations and thank you for the series. I've been lucky enough to listen to all of it in Scandinavian language. And let's move on and just check in if Ylva has connection now. Our original host. Are you there, Ylva? Or no? I can't seem to hear you. So then it's not working. And we move on till Germany, I think, to Till Ottlitz. Are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Yeah.
Hi, nice to see you. What can you tell us about your documentary 4 Days of Fear?
So the documentary was, or the decision to publish it last year was because there was the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And obviously since then, a whole generation had grown up that had no recollection of East Germany, the GDR, that socialist state whatsoever. And so for a lot of young people, it's like nice memories of small little crazy cars and maybe standing in line, but sort of the emotional toll, the problems that you had if you wanted to live freely in that society, if you wanted to make your own life choices, that was not anymore on young people's minds. And so so I told this very personal story of my mother who wanted to flee from East Germany because she had so many problems living in East Germany, couldn't express herself freely, couldn't live the life she wanted to live, and of course that escape attempt goes horribly wrong, and for 4 days she has to go into hiding in East Germany and depend on the kindness of strangers to help her through that. That's the story in a nutshell.
How was it to make a story for, I guess, do you have to appeal to young audience as well as the ones who know the history? You have to make both kind of audience happy. Is that a challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to really tell all sorts of facts that a younger generation doesn't know and an older generation might know. But I got so many reactions to this series from both younger people and older people, and also older people said, "Oh, we had totally forgotten how that felt." You know, many Germans have traveled through East Germany on these transit routes or have visited relatives, and that atmosphere, this all-controlling state where you had to register at the police station if you wanted to visit family. That's something also an older generation that came flooding back. Many people told me, "Oh, I had totally forgotten how that was," and sort of the series brought that back, and we did that through a lot of sort of small scenes that happened in 1973 that we sort of recreated with a very with some soundtrack and some sound.
I'm sorry, Till. It's I'm sorry. You have a poor connection, I'm afraid, Till. But it was hard to hear some of your answer. But I guess you managed to tell the most important things, and people can check out your documentary online. Just a very quick question: was your family happy? It was a personal story.
Yeah, my family, they were very happy, and that was sort of when I presented that to my mother and my father, I was sweating all over. It was very it was very emotional for me. And then we played the first episode, and my mother said, "Oh, we have to hear the next one. How is it going to end?" And I said, "You know very well how this ends. You're the protagonist." But still, she found it so exciting. So that was a big compliment for me.
Thank you, Till. Let's go back to Ylva and see if she connected. Are you there, Ylva? Still no sound. Well, at least we see you. That's the opposite of radio. Only pictures and no sound. It's not the same, right? Well, let's move on to Italy in the meantime. We don't give up. This is a running dramatic curve in this Meet the Makers. Will Ylva connect? But Alice, you are there, all right? Alice, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah, great. You made a story called My 4-Star Life, and I guess it's a kind of diary in a way, or what would you call it?
Yes, it is a diary, of course. Yeah, I call it in this way.
Tell us what's it about in a nutshell.
Okay. I mean, it is at the beginning it was an experiment, because I was 1 year before they called me, the family that I interviewed. I was interviewed the same family for an inquiry on the crisis of the home, because they were forced to squat a building for have a house to live. Then 1 year later, they called me back because a fire had partially destroyed the building where they lived. And then I back there, but I didn't know how to help them. You know, sometimes it happens that when you work as a journalist, the person that you interview asks you many times to go back and then get notice about their problems. This time I was really, I mean, really near to the problem, because they are a family. They have 3 children, and 2 of them are neither 18 years old. So, I mean, I have 2 children too, so I can understand very well the problem when you have have a family and you have to live day by day and you want a normal life. So I decided to give Dalila, the youngest girl. I mean, the youngest girl is the person who can get the story better, give her my microphone and to leave my microphone to her, because I needed to do a step back as a journalist. I thought it was maybe better to leave the stories just grow day by day. And then that's, I mean, the beginning of the diary. That's why the diary, because to explain to her what we were doing, because it was, at the beginning, it was not clear also to me. I just asked her to start recording. And then she started in some ways pretty shy. And once a week, I went there and get the card, the SD card, and listen. And then I start writing, like, you know, you have to do the time coding to don't miss the part of the story. Then I start asking Dalila to record the daily life. And it was pretty fun because she was like, why? What is it interesting in my life about the sounds of the house, the normal noises we hear in our house? And I said, don't worry about this. Trust me, it's more important to give the daily life than to give to the person who are going to listen to the story just the problem. Because the problem is in every single act you do in your normal life if you have the big problem of the house. Because, I mean, you don't know even if there is an house to get back when you go out. So
yeah, I must say that when I listened to it, it felt very authentic. But I'm not Italian, but what did the audience in Italy respond? Did they feel that this was kind of a new insight into real life of a young person, or?
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe Daria can tell this better than me, because of course I had some feedback, and I can tell that for me it was a great experience, because for the first time I didn't felt the necessity to get my voice inside the story, to use music. I just decided to give the story as it is. I mean, it is an edited story, of course, because we recorded 7 months, so we had to do like this in 7 months, you know, hours and hours, like I think maybe 40 or 50 hours of recorded material. And in 20 minutes is a big job, but I think it works in this way and the people can understand very well.
Yeah, I must say that I was very pleased with this production. It's in a way a more popular trend in my part of Europe to have a very smaller narrator than in other countries. So I think it was very successful, and I would recommend all to listen to it and to comment on it in the comment fields. We have been urging people to post more comments, and I hope you will get some more response on your program, Alice.
Thanks a lot.
And say hello to Daria when you see her.
Yes, of course.
Okay, we have Ylva in the picture. I guess no song.
I don't think so. You can't hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you like to step in and take over from here? It's time for my colleague Lina.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for this. Lina, you have made a 6-part series about Arne Treholt, the spy. And it's a very big story, and I guess it's very, very well known in Norway. A lot of books and things have been published around him, and it's a 4-hour long piece of radio. How was it to work with this big material? Were you nervous to just start to encounter this subject?
Yeah, in the beginning it was sort of like we have to do the story about Arne Treholt and who is going to do it, and no one really wanted to do it because we knew it was going to be a lot of work. And so I thought, okay, I will do it, and it was supposed to be a 2-part series, but it is that kind of story that when you start to work on it, it's just it's growing and growing and growing. So in the end we found out that it should be a 6-part series. And in Norway, the case of Arne Treholt is very, very well known, but we wanted to tell it to a younger audience than the people who knew about Arne Treholt from before.
Did you get into any new, did you reveal any new things about the story that were never told before?
Yeah, we found, we got hold of some secret sound, pieces of sound from the police, which we used in the series, and we also got hold of some new people, the FBI agent who could tell about the American couple, the neighbors of Arne Treholt in New York, who were not the neighbors at all. They were spies. They spied on him, and also one from KGB who told the hidden backstory. So we dug quite deep into it, and it was it felt good to tell the story. It's been 36 years since he was arrested, so it was kind of, we went all the way back to the 60s and so on.
Yeah, and how was the story received in Norway?
Oh, very well, I think. It was people are surprisingly interested in old spice. It was quite popular, and people shared it and spoke about it, and it was very well received, I think.
Yeah. How many people were you working on this? Because it's such a big subject, and it's the Cold War, and there are so many things you have to tell to tell the whole story. How many were you working with it?
I worked on it for a year, and then we had the researcher. He worked maybe for 6 months, and Kjetil was the producer, so he worked a lot, maybe 2 or 3 months altogether, and also the sound engineer. We went to, I took a recount on the weeks in the studio, and it was almost 12 weeks in the studio. So we were 4, plus one on and off, who was also a source to the series.
Yeah. So very ambitious, and it was very nice to listen to. I really enjoyed it. And I think we need to move on to the next one. Since let's see, who is this now? Yes, it's Rita from Portugal. Are you there? Yes. Are you Rita? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Yes. Hello. We have listened to Hearing the Eyes about Telmo Baldes, and the story of him. He got blind caused by a brain tumor when he was in his 20s, I think, and it's about him and when he's trying to learn how to walk with a white cane. And you have used a special technique. You have used the binaural audio. Can you tell us about how was it to work with that?
Yes, so we used for this long feature the Ambio Smart headset from Schneider. It's like a portable kit that it's able to capture binaural audio through simple and little earphones that already have those microphones incorporated, and that we can just plug in into an iPhone. So these all came out with the digital innovation laboratory, Inova Media Lab, that they had the opportunity to test this binaural kit and set the challenge to me and to also the head of news of the Portuguese Public Radio in co-producing a radio story using binaural technology. So then Paulo Castanheiro, the sound designer, he's also a PhD student collaborating with Inova and started working with me in this story. First we had a meeting with the Portuguese Association for Blind and Visual Impairment. And we told them that we were trying to find someone in the beginning of the process of relearning to listen and to walk on the street after losing his sight. So my idea was to be able to tell a story from the point of view of the protagonist, so that he would be the one to tell and guide in first person the difficulties that a blind person faces on a daily basis. So I wanted to reproduce, try to reproduce more realistically how a blind person listened to the world, because a radio listener who can see the world and a blind person, they all start from the same place when it comes to listen to audio piece. That means nobody sees that what they are hearing, right? So everyone has to be somehow guided in the listening. And with one binaural recording, the idea was to reproduce the world just like all well, the so-called normal hearing people listened. Sounds do not reach both ears at the same time, nor with the same intensity. There are sounds that come from the right, others from the left, behind, higher, lower. And so this sense of listening in layers that a person who blinded not long ago as to investigate, to gain autonomy on the street. So I want the listener to realize the difficulties that is for a blind person, a recently blind person, has in listening to the world, so that in this case Telmo can and could walk on the streets safely.
Yeah, and of course you also get to interview him and his mother, and that also makes you understand a little bit more about the difficulties for him. I think it's important to hear them speaking about it as well. And so did you spend a lot of time with Telmo interviewing?
Yeah, so, we followed all the process. It took like I think 3 to 4 months. We're not every day together, of course. I went there from time to time. Every week I went there not only to follow the training that he was receiving from his therapist, but also most of the times with the recorder was off, just like him just to gain his confidence and in me, and because he was sharing very profound things about him with me. So I would like to have centered this story solely and exclusively on Telmo, his therapist, and his family, and the environment that surrounds him. But I cannot forget that I work for and in the newsroom of the Portuguese public radio. So I always have to find a compromise between storytelling and journalism. That is why I ended up interviewing other persons that brought important points of view to the feature in what concerns to the problems of blindness and visual impairment people in Portugal.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to listen to your program and to get to know a little bit more of Telmo and his mother and his life. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We move on to Alena from the Czech Republic.
Yes, hi.
Hello, hi. You made a program called The Man Who Planted the Trees about the forester who mainly tries to listen to nature, tries to understand what nature tries to tell him about caring for the forest. In the little text that is connected with the program, you say something about slow radio, and I think that's really interesting. You say that, oh, it's not slow radio, but can you just tell us a little bit about your intent with this program and what you wanted to do?
Yeah. First of all, I'm very honored to be here with you and to present one of my documentaries. And I am here with a student of mine, Teresa Reková.
Hi, hi everyone. Hi.
Because my English is not so good. She will help me if it will be necessary.
But I'm sure she will do great.
I don't know. But she's also a documentary maker, and I think that many of you know her. And what more, she's finishing her dissertation about the history of IFC this month.
Hey.
And about the program. Well, I love a famous short story, The Man Who Planted Trees by Jean Giono. And so when I met Czech forester, poet and musician Jiří Nohel, I started to see him as a new incarnation of L.R. Bouffier, a character in this book. I met Jiří a couple of times in past during my previous recording sessions focused on forest. And the strong lone wolf working hard in the forest every day, that of course attracted my attention. Plus he had a great talent for telling stories from his life. So I recorded this documentary during the 4 seasons of 2018. And during the recording, I discovered that this topic is actually very important as the worldwide climate crisis came and everyone discussed it. Nothing is as it used to be. The forests have been badly affected by drought and bark beetle infestation. However, always optimistic Jiří shows us the situation from an unexpected angle. And we can say that the main protagonist of this documentary is actually not a forester, Jiří Nohel, who is really fascinating, but the forest as a living organism with its typical sound orchestration, which I hope takes the listener directly to the arms of Mother Gaia. And I hope that this piece will restore our emotions and our awareness of the vital connection between people and nature, because we are a part of the nature. But slow radio it isn't, because Jiří love to speak much. Yes, so there are not only sounds of the nature of the forest, but the rhythm of it, I think, is slow, because he says that the forest also didn't grow at one day. So we have to get also ourselves more slow.
There are many very beautiful short lines, I think, that he says, like the forest is like a family. You can't tell what the age of a family. It's both 5 years and 70 years and so forth. And I also think that the main character in this story really is the forest and the nature, because it's sparse and very clear and nice sound. So thank you for letting us into this particular forest and his forests. So thank you very much. Thank you. And we move on to Belgium. Joyce, yes. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
Hello. You you made a story about Julie, and she is a woman that was born during the 50s, 51 in Congo. Her father was a Belgian and her mother was Congolese, and then she ended up in she was adopted to Belgian parents. Can you tell us about? There have been some commentaries on together with the program about if it's your choice of just having her voice. It's just one interview. There are no narration, but there are very beautiful sounds. And can you tell us something about your choice of making the program this way?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. It was. I think if you are commenting, it's a story about colonialism, and it's a very sensitive subject here in Belgium. I think not only in Belgium, and I wanted this to be Julie's story, and if I was going to comment on her or going to explain things, it really felt wrong for me to. I think it would be kind of patronizing. So I think it was better to just. You can hear me sometimes asking some genuine, curious questions. Because I was just really curious about her story, and that's what I wanted to show or to get across. So I'm just in the back. Yeah, I think it would be patronizing to comment on. But I don't know. It's really, yeah. I still don't know if this was the right way of it. So,
yeah. So when you were interviewing her, is this what when you started to make the program? Did you know that you will do it this way? Otherwise, maybe. Because I can feel that there is not any lack of information. You have the information there through her. So was this your intention when you started, that you would not have any narration and just let her tell the story? It's like a testimony in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I have a less ideological or less like I always try to keep out of the story simply because I really don't like my own voice. So that's the first reason, but also because I really wanted her to tell her story. Yeah, that's, you know. So it wasn't really planned from the beginning, but yeah, she's telling in so much. She has so much images that she can tell so much better than, yeah, she's an amazing storyteller. So it would really be a shame to start explaining things or to do it like to comment.
So how much time did you spend with her? with Julie?
I went, I think we talked in stretches of 3 hours, and I came to talk to her 4 times. So we had an interview of 3 hours, and then she would always text me afterwards like, oh, you know, this question really made me think of this. And then I went back and we talked more, and then the same happened over and over again. And honestly, I could have talked, I still talk to her on the phone at least once a month. So the story never finishes.
So thank you very much for sharing and for a very fine program that you made. So thanks a lot. So we move on to the next one, and it's The Kingdom of Silence. Jakob.
Hello.
Hello. This is the story from Sydney military prison, a very terrifying and horrible place. And you have interviewed former prisoners, and you decided to interview them in the Stasi prison in Berlin. Can you tell us about your decision, the decision that you made of wanting to draw them back into this environment?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But first of all, I just wanted to say that I'm really happy to be here, but I would, of course, have preferred to talk radio with all you guys over some wonderful red Italian wine. The decision to record the interviews in the Stasi prison, the Secret Service of East German, the East German Secret Service prison. Well, I wanted to record this firstly in a place that kind of connects to German history, because I wanted to have the most impact possible here in Germany, so people kind of see and hear what what the Assad regime is doing in Syria. And so I wanted to connect it with a contemporary German history. That's one thing. And the other thing is just sound. It was just a perfect location to record the sounds. But I mean, I think I have to explain a little bit more how this came together. So, and it is interesting because there's a connection here to Rita's feature of the blind person. So in Sednaya, in this huge torture prison close to Damascus, the prisoners, when they go there, they are being blindfolded, and they have to sit facing the wall, and they're not allowed to talk or make any noise. So they sit down there in kind of this huge echo chamber, listening. They sit down there like bats, and they so in their heads, they're listening all the time to different noises. And the noises for them kind of represent different things. The noises can represent, I don't know, levels of threat. So when you hear a certain a guard approaching your cell, and you hear, they can kind of differentiate between the different boots or shoes that the guards have. So they know, okay, so there's this guard and he has these kind of shoes, and he's a guy who will, he might beat me up. So I felt like people are using their hearing to build this kind of cartography, to build this kind of cartography of this place, just like a blind person does in the city, and as Rita's feature so beautifully has shown us. So noises were at the center of this, and of course it had to be a radio feature, right? So this is kind of, I felt like I was very happy. I'm very happy that I'm a radio feature maker, so I could use all of my tools to kind of put this into a feature. So what we did is we went to the Stasi prison, to the Secret Service prison. We went into the cellar with the interviewees, And then with me, I had a noise, what do you call this? A Foley artist. So a Foley artist came with his big, you know, suitcases full of different stuff and little, like, strange little apparatuses. And he made noises, and he tried to make noises as close as possible to the noises that the people in the Sydney prison heard. And I recorded this whole process. So noise by noise, we got closer to this kind of soundscape, to the noises of terror or whatever the people in Sydney were hearing. So this way, I tried to, it's kind of a forensic approach when you try to recreate a crime, like forensic in that sense. So it's kind of a forensic approach to recreate Sydney prison through noise.
So were you ever worried that the former prisoners, your interviewees, would relive some traumas, or because?
Yes, yes, I was worried. But again, I'm very happy that my girlfriend, she has been working with traumatized people for a long time here in Berlin. So she coached me what to look out for, and how to avoid kind of getting into a dangerous loop where people kind of harm themselves by talking about their experience. But I have to say that I always felt like so what torture does is it breaks people. Torture is supposed to break people and break the humanity of people, and you do this by breaking their belief in the social sphere. So you make them lonely, and they start turning within themselves, and yeah, well, they go crazy. So the only way to break this is if people talk about torture. Like, people who suffer torture have to talk about it. That's the only way to get out of this. This is what all the studies are telling us. And not only talk about it, but share it with a lot of people. And I always felt like, you know, when we got out of this dark East German basement, and we recorded this in winter, it was very, very harsh. So every time we got out of there, and we got on the first floor and were breathing air again, there was a certain camaraderie there. So we did something good here, you know. We shared the story, and we did something good here, and we kind of one guy even told me, you know what, listening to like talking about this and putting this on the German radio, that's my revenge. And that's how I tell people, how I can tell my torturer that you did not win, because I'm talking about this and you did not break me. I'm talking about this, and a lot of people are hearing this. And well, you know, like 700,000 people heard this radio feature. So this is the revenge.
Yeah, and that's actually at the end of the documentary, he says that, and it makes me as a listener to feel kind of relieved that it ends because it's really hard listening. It's a lot of suffering from and very scary details, but there is something in the end that is a little bit comforting when they say that. So I think this is it for Meet the Maker today, and it's going to be another session tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And please listen to the programs and make your commentaries. I think the authors will really enjoy to read comments from the colleagues all over Europe and maybe all over the world. So I think this is it for now. Okay. Goodbye.
Thank you.